So, hello everyone, good afternoon. I invite you to be part of my learning process and in the sense of the ethical challenges and even the design challenges and user experience challenges regarding anticipatory design. That's a new UX trend. Not so new actually. This was new when I started researching, but it is still a trend because it's not um, fully available yet. We still see it in a few places, not everywhere. This was my postgraduate project. I turned it into a presentation, right? It started as an article, and I did a lot of researches, and now I'm going to present the results for everyone. So the idea here is to discuss, the trend, the UX trend, anticipatory design. What's the a few problems that we might have, ethical problems, privacy problems, and then I'm going to open some time at the end for us to have any questions or just exchange some experiences and opinions. So a little bit about myself. My name is Gustavo. Everyone calls me Gus here at CI&T. I am a designer. I'm a lead designer here, working mainly for international projects. I've been in the company for 4 years right now, but I've been a digital designer for more than 10 years. I actually came from graphic design, but I've always worked with digital. So I've been already web designer, UI designer, UX designer. Now I just call myself designer. That's it. Oops. So today is about tomorrow, right? This is a trend, so it's not something that it's already happening in place across the market. So we're going to talk a little bit about future, about anticipated experiences and predictive interfaces that can predict what the user might want or what are their desires, right? And I'm going to give some examples just to explain the concept behind. So, and the difference between other concepts. So, if you want to know the percentage of customers who abandon your shopping cart during, a month on your e-commerce, you're using analytics, right? That's how you know the percentage of users or of customers who abandon it. But if you want to target those customers who abandon their carts and discover more effective approaches to getting those customers back, marketing, through email, to whatever channel you might have, that's data science and advanced analytics. But what I'm going to talk about is how do we know the potential of cart abandonments? How many people might abandon the cart? While the customer is still in the journey, and they are still having the experience of purchasing or buying our product, for example. So, and how do we avoid that people leave without taking the purchase? So, how do we do this before, right? Um, and that's the anticipatory design concept. It's using analytics, it's using data science, it's using user experience. That's the mindset that we want. How do we avoid that? Um, and that's why I think it's a great topic for us. And that's why I want us to exchange some ideas at the end, because the technology is already ready for us to do that, right? And people are already prepared to see those experiences happening, but why are we not doing that yet? Us as users, as designers, as developers, strategists, PMs, right? How can we enforce that knowledge that we already have from our users and use that in our favor? So in this talk, I'm going to talk what are the problems that anticipatory design wants to solve. What is the state of anticipatory design today? What I see will be the next chapters for anticipatory design tomorrow. a few ethics and other challenges that we might have. Um, that I think it's one of the core problems that we might encounter here. And also, just to wrap up at the end, my design considerations. How might we solve those problems, or what's the best way for us to pursue the best solution and still have a great experience. Okay, so what are the problems that we want to solve, right? 35,000, right? That's the number of decisions, the average of decisions per day that an adult human being takes. And that number caught my attention and many researchers, of course, because that's the number of decisions and that you take during a day, and this usually takes a person to what we call a decisional fatigue, right? And there's a lot of micro decisions that we take during the day, all day long, and there's even like a joke of Mark Zuckerberg. He's always wearing the same T-shirt because that's one less decision that he has to make during his day, right? He should not waste his brain power by making small decisions. Let's just use all of that readiness to make the big decisions, and the small ones, let's just make, you know, default decisions. You don't need to think that much about it. So there are a lot of decisions and a lot of, and we are, especially right now, remote, we are receiving notifications all day long, right? WhatsApp, Slack, Trello, that is generating a lot of cognitive overload in us. And this is what the anticipatory design wants to solve, right? We want to find a cure to the decision fatigue. We want people to be able to focus on the important things in their lives and in their jobs, and the small things, day-to-day things that you don't even need to think that much to make a decision. Those things we want to be automated and predicted for you. Of course, we know that having a choice is really good, but choosing can be painful sometimes, right? So we know that decisions and choices play a very important role in the world of this anticipatory design concept, and many people think that choosing is really good. Having a choice is really good, right? But the thing that we actually want is to have the freedom to choose, to have a choice, to pick whatever we want. It's actually the freedom. And then there is a book from Barry Schwartz where he introduces the concept of the paradox of choice, that says that when you actually have too many options to pick from, that actually it's more painful, and it brings you less freedom because you might freeze, you might not know where to go because things are really similar. So that's the paradox, right? We often think that having a choice is giving us freedom, but actually having too many options, it's holding us back at some point. So take this example. You are in the supermarket and you have many, many, many options to choose from the same product. They are really similar, right? You have, on your mind things that you might want. First, I want to pick by brand, I want to pick by flavor, I want to pick by price, right? Availability. Um, but this is also something that you might get tired of, right? Depending on how big your day is or how many choices you might have, that's going to overwhelm you and make you have less ability by the end of the day to make good judgment calls and make good decisions. There is even data that says that when talking, in judicial courts, that 30%, when asking for habeas corpus, right, the chance that you have to defend yourself while free, habeas corpus, 30% more habeas corpus are granted in the morning than in the end of the day. So this also says how the brain of the judge that is going to say that you can be free or not from jail, it's more willing to give you a chance in the morning because the person is not stressed or tired, right? than actually at the end of the day after a long day of work. So knowing that is really important for us to say, let's save our brain power to the more important things and to be fair with everything, right? So we know that having too many choices can cause a few things, right? Can generate paralysis instead of freedom, right? The number of options and the decisions that you have to make, they can be really difficult to pick. And there's also a big chance of regretting a purchase that you made. Who I think this is really common, right? You're doing a research, you choose to buy product A, and you realize a while later that actually product B was better for you or cheaper, or you could have waited a little bit longer. Then you get some the self-blaming, guilty feeling of picking number way before letter A before um, researching more. So having too many choices can also cause those feelings and a little bit of regret and self-blame, right? And what we want to propose here is to remove, a, a few decisions from a user, right? Anticipatory design wants to make a shift in design, in UX, in user experience, and instead of having experience that is reactive, that helps you make your decisions. That's what we have today in most places. So technology today is going to help you, right? This is already being done. But in the future, the technology will make the decisions for you. Right? That's what we are suggesting. We're going to stop being reactive and start being proactive and changing the pattern, right? So instead of having to figure out the right way to solve a problem by yourself, based on your standards, your collected data, everything that I know about you, on the knowledge that I have from your context and the world that you live in, right? What's the knowledge that I have from your needs and your desires, this system will anticipate the choices and we will project and make a decision for you on top of your data. Right? So that's the proposal of anticipatory design, making a decision proactively for you instead of suggesting you the best way of helping you making a decision. So where we are today, right? Anticipatory design is a design that it's one step ahead in time. It's always making the decisions before you even think about them. So welcome to this concept and to this word. This sentence actually it's the title of the article made by Aaron Shapiro. He's the CEO from Huge, and he was the one that uh, invented the term, anticipatory design a while ago. And that's the concept, right? Understanding user needs and achieving them before the user even realizes. So let's go to a few definitions about it. So if you look at the definition of the anticipatory design, we can say that this is a design pattern, right? And it's going to move around a few concepts of learning, and that comes from IoT and whatever data that you might have that it's being consumed around you, learning how you behave in your day-to-day, how you like the temperature of your bedroom to be when you go to sleep, when you like to turn off the lights, what's the music that you like to hear in the morning, right? So it's learning about you and your environment. And based on that, you could use machine learning to make predictions, right? Because you have a pattern. You do a lot of similar things every day. And then by having the predictions, we may anticipate a few needs. That's the part that the user experience enters. That's the interface that we have. And this is usually going to be done by an artificial intelligence or even, um, that can be a Google Home or Alexa, Siri, that's anticipating your needs. Is based on automation, right? So it's the ability to deliver a proactive user experience within a business context through machine learning techniques, and it's going to be a personalized response in anticipation of your need and your intent. It goes beyond presenting the information or presenting a functionality. It's going to take, it's not just presenting, it's going to anticipate your need and your intentions and proactively satisfy your needs. And the framework is this one. So if we analyze this formula, it's all about your data that we have collected, identifying based on your data what are your needs and your wants, right? And also the relationship that you have between the artificial intelligence and assistant that you might have, right? And it's providing you the right feature at the right moment. So having this momentum, it's really essential, right? It's the right feature at the right moment. And why are we talking about it right now? Talking again about this. Why do I believe that this is the right time for us to discuss this? And I think it's relevant to talk about this right now because I think the technology is ready. It's fully ready for us to start doing this. So cell phone data is ubiquitous, right? Bandwidth is ubiquitous. Machine learning, it's constantly evolving, and we are also experiencing a few demographic shifts that we can see. The biggest point about the bandwidth ubiquity is that today cell phone data is omnipresent, right? We almost perceive Wi-Fi has air. You know that most of the planet is being covered by internet. Places that are not yet, we know that Google, Facebook, big tech companies are trying to make also covered, also have bandwidth. The point is we are always going to be connected, and that's a reality, right? Most places you already are always connected, and most people feel like being connected to the internet is essential to them, right? They want to be connected all the time, all day long. Machine learning is evolving day by day, and it's going to keep evolving based on the amount of data that is collected, right? The more content that we provide, the more intelligence it will have. So this is going to keep growing. And the demographic changes is basically showing, a subdivision of the generation, the next generation, something like, the kids that already, code and program like it's a second language. Right? We know that the kids in the future will understand code like they know how to read. So I feel like the Google kids, the kids that were born already after Google was invented, those kids are going to be way more connected, and this kind of solution would be perfect for them. Right? So let's talk about how anticipatory design is applied today in a few services, the day-to-day. So if you look, for example, in software, we have a few softwares that already provide a good anticipatory experience and already provide predictive experiences. Yeah, I've brought here an example for this app. Let's call it If This Then That. And it's an app based on automation, right? It's just an if this then that. It actually does this. And you can program a lot of things and automate a lot of things in your life, in your house. And you can say, if I am closer to my home based on my GPS location, then turn on the lights, or then adjust the temperature. So this is already happening. Right? There are other examples of softwares doing this, like, for example, I don't know if everyone here already noticed it, that when you receive a plane ticket on your Gmail account, Google already adds the event in your calendar to let you know the time that you have to leave to go to the airport. And it's already, showing on your calendar automatically, right? It's predicting. You don't have to create an event on your calendar telling you when is the plane going to leave, right? So this is already making decisions for you based on the data that you have provided. Just by reading your email, Google knows that what's the time that your plane is going to leave and arrive, and it's already creating an event for you. So that's a great example for me. It's transparent for a user. A user doesn't have to create that. So this is a few examples on software. But we also have some examples on hardware, right? We also have tools that do a little bit of this. A great example is the Nest thermostat, that is provided by Google. This thermostat anticipates your needs and provides the exact temperature for each situation of your day-to-day. For when you're home, for when you're waking up, when going to sleep, when leaving to work, when coming back, right? And it's also focused on energy saving because he knows that if you're not home, it doesn't need to be, heating the apartment. And when you're getting back, he knows the time that you're getting back and he's starting to heat again. If you're going to sleep and you like to sleep in a colder environment, around the time that you go to bed, he's already make it a little bit colder. And for you to wake up, it's going to start to get warmer, so you wake up easier, right? So this is already happening on the hardware. And we also have an evolution of hardwares that is the assistants, right? So this one is the Amazon Echo Dot. It's available really cheap on the internet. Everyone can have one of those, can have a Google Home Mini, a Siri, which in those assistants, they manage to capture even more data provided and even more seamless experience, more transparent experience from your day-to-day, because it's recording you all day long, right? And you are also interacting with it. You're asking it to turn on the light or turn off, to make a call, to add an event on your calendar, to turn on and off the music or the TV, right? So those automations are already happening, and they always go through an assistant. And another category are wearables, right? Like Apple Watch, for example, which collects information through the day about you, and not just the decisions, but is also connecting your heart rate, the exercises that you make, shows you notifications all day long. So it's connecting through your day-to-day, gathering information through your day, and providing you useful interactions to the user. Right? And this, of course, this is also connected to the internet. It's also connected to your assistant. So just an example of wearable. We can see that we have different categories where we see a little bit of the interactions, right? We can see that it's already, part of it's already working today, but this looks like a closed circuit, Not all of those products are going to talk with each other, right? I even added some examples here from different providers just to state that more clear. But one is an app that is not owned by Google, Amazon, or Apple, right? The other one is a hardware by Google. The other one is a hardware by Amazon. The other one is a hardware by Apple. They are connected, but they're not exchanging the data that they are gathering between them. Right? It's a closed circuit. What the Alexa it's recording, it's not going to be shared with Apple. Right? And we feel like for the future, for the ideal place for design anticipatory to work really well is for this information to also be vehicles, to also be shared across services. So this would make even more interesting in the future, right? Imagine that all of the things would be communicating with each other, and imagine that you have a complete connected curriculum with different technologies and intelligent algorithms, gathering data and making suggestions based on the data that is being collected and making sense of all that data together. Right? Um, it starts to get interesting, and that's when anticipatory will bring us to the future. It's ubiquitous information, and you don't need to go to a terminal to find the information. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be scattered across surfaces. So that's where I feel like this is going to get even cooler. And I'm going to give one example of how I see we going in that direction is what I perceive as the next or the new social network that is going to be presented. I don't know who here watched it or yesterday, Monday, the WWDC by Apple, this Monday, the 7th. Apple has an ecosystem. It's aiming to become the new social network. The new social network isn't a destination that you go, but it's actually integrated meticulously into each app across the entire ecosystem. And by that I mean that it's not a website that you go. It's not like Facebook.com. The social network is iCloud connecting your watch with your messages, with your computer, with the photos that you share. That's the secret that Apple is building. And we could see that from the presentation that they made yesterday. And you can even see based on what they showed in the products that is having the integration between them. You can see that here at the top right corner, we have a telephone call being made, and this is the video call, and the person could share the desktop, right, and with the messages, so it's already integrated experience between desktop and mobile, right? And what I love about this is because you are paying for it with the cost of products and subscriptions, right? So rather than building or a product being built to suck up all your time and attention for ads, Apple is not building products to suck up your information to provide you ads. You're paying for it by buying the product or by subscribing to a service. And they are actually introducing features that are going to show you less ads. Right? They're already respecting a lot your privacy and what you have to choose. I feel like it's going to be a much healthier relationship and a healthier amount of sharing happening in this new social network. It's going to bring us back to a more conscious sharing as well. I feel like we are going to be back to be focused on smaller communities and groups again. And this is already happening, right? We're seeing this as a trend with private circle sharing. You have your WhatsApp group, and that's the place that you send pictures. We already share pictures and send messages through Google Photos. I feel like one of the social networks that I follow more often today is a group that I have with my wife and my mother-in-law, where we share pictures of our dog every day. That's the place that I'm more engaged by, interacting with pictures and seeing pictures of my dog, way more than I would be if that was in a timeline and trying to engage with followers. This is the circle that I want to interact with. That's that I'm part of, right? And this is happening all across, right? Everybody has experience like this. So this is the new OS for the iPad. You can also see that a lot of the concepts will be shared between the desktop, the iPad, and the iOS mobile, right? And I feel like this is the next step. It's having a social network that it's ubiquitous, that it's always connected, always there. But it's not all fun and games with the anticipatory design. Of course, we have a lot of problems, and I have some mixed feelings about it. I love it and I hate it. What I love about it is that it's going to result in fewer decisions made every day. Right? And of course, if you have to make less decisions, you have less decision fatigue. You not get so tired at the end of the day by having to make so many small decisions throughout the day. And you're going to have a transparent experience, right? Because everything is connected in the same experience or provider, right? And of course, you might have more time to spare because you will be automating a lot of your decisions, so you have time to do other things. This is what I love about it. But what I don't like about it are those subjects here. So the first one is the housing of the data, right? I think that's a big issue, considering that there is a general distrust of users considering what's behind the data housing, right? Who is the owner of my data? Am I the owner? Is Google the owner? Is Amazon the owner? Is Apple the owner? And there's a lot of skepticism due to studies and, of course, about illegal distribution of my data and how that's going to affect my trust and willingness to share more data with those companies, right? Most people don't trust them, and that is going to bring a worrying attitude because it can, inhibit the development of predictive user experience. Because if you're not sharing data, how can you predict something? So the trust in the housing of data, what's being done with my data, it's a really, really big issue. I have to trust the company that I'm giving my data to. Right? And the other thing is, am I the owner of my data? Or should be the companies? Can I take my data from Google and send it to Apple and just download everything that Google knows about me, delete afterwards, and upload in another provider? If I can't, it means that I'm not the owner of that, right? It's not something that it's portable. I cannot change the providers and recover my data. The other thing is privacy, of course. In anticipatory design, we must understand that there is no privacy. The users tend to think that they have nothing to hide, but the opposite is true. And companies are increasingly sharing data without notifying the users beforehand. In addition, companies are also constantly changing their privacy methods, right? And without really well communicating that to the users. So automation will ask much more from you. It will ask a lot about your data. And we will need to be way more transparent on how we treat the data that we are collecting. The current privacy ecosystem, it's not enough and it's not scalable for us to deal with the future of anticipatory design. We need to build trust and to a point that the user can share the data without having any problems. The other important point is this can also generate experience bubbles, right? Because if we are tailoring the content that you're going to consume, it means that you are going to be fed by that context, that content. And if you like, you're going to keep getting fed by the same content, the same content, and that can generate a bubble, right? You're not going to be seeing anything new and having the discovery ability and finding different opinions than yours, right? We can see this already today on social network. If you talk about elections, you see that there is a bubble. You talk with people and you only interact with people that agree with you. You only see people that agree with you on your timeline. And you think that everybody agrees with you because that's what you see. And that's not true at all. Right? You see that not everybody has the same point of view and agrees with you. But that's not what the timeline is telling you. timeline. You're cutting ties with your family. You're stop following other people that don't agree with you. That's generating a bubble of contact with content that you just agree. So that's also a dangerous path, right? And the last one is regarding automation, that could also bring the alienation of human capabilities, right? If we automate everything, what we as human beings are going to do. If we remember the movie Wall-E, that's a great movie about the future. Remember that the people from the movie were always getting drove around by wheelchairs, and they would only raise the hand to drink milkshakes, and that's it. But then they don't know how to walk anymore because they're only getting drove around by automated cars. So, of course, that's a exaggeration, but this can bring us to the elimination of small human capabilities. For example, doing math. Do what is 32 times 74? You have to open the calculator to do that, right? Before, so the intelligence is helping you by making faster decisions, but you're also losing some skills and some abilities. So you're also getting alienated a little bit. And how do we propose to solve, right? I really want design anticipatory to happen, and that's why I'm here, right? That's why I'm giving this talk, is because I want it to happen. I think it will be really good, and I want to light the spark on people that might agree with me to also try to go in that direction. For us to be a strong community, and be stronger and stronger, as an example. And I want people to be engaged and interested about it. And I think onboarding is the key to the success of anticipatory experiences. We have a lot of information related to privacy, to data storage. Some people don't trust the big tech companies, right? And that's too bad, because trust is everything for this trend to come true. So onboarding and having the best transparent experience is the path, right? It's really telling the user, this is the data that I'm getting from you. This is where I'm going to store your data. This is where I'm going to use it. And that's it, right? I'm not going to hide anything, but I'm going to explain to you what I'm doing with everything that I'm getting from you. So I think that's the key to success. It's the onboarding and the transparency. And now a few design considerations about it. So the first one is having a focus on EI instead of AI. I don't know if everybody knows Joy Ito. He is the head of the MIT Media Lab. And he said something about this when he was, I saw this video where he was talking with Barack Obama, when he was still president, talking about the future of artificial intelligence. And he said, humanity should not pursue robotics and the generalized AI, but rather focus on extended intelligence. So not artificial intelligence, but extended intelligence. That's because it's human nature to use technology as an extension to ourselves. We will be feeling inhumane to replace our daily activities with machines. So we don't use every activity that we do, but we want to extend our power, our reach, our intelligence, and by using an extended intelligence and not something that is going to replace us. So technology has always been an extension of our capabilities, right? That's the shift of the focus away from the replacement, to the empowerment that I think it's going to help us in the future. It's not replacing intelligence, but actually empowering intelligence. The next point that we need to have to make this work is having the user decide the level of automation that they are interested, right? And they would like to use. For some users, it's very important to always have the opportunity to opt out of some experiences. And if the service is not providing what they want anymore. So the way the internet works is that the user needs to hack their own behavior today to get the right content. You know, what we are, you know, on your timeline, on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. You need to hack your behavior to see content more than what the algorithms are providing you by following different people, by not liking something, or by commenting on something that you want to see more. We see this a lot on Instagram saying, so please like, save, share, just, you know, press the icon just so I can be more often on your timeline. So the user has to hack the product to see what they want. Um, and a lot of the personal data that the tools are getting are going to end up in that black box that nobody knows how the data is going to be used or processed by, you know, by those big tech companies. So providing the option for automation, how much automation I'm interested in, right? And that's going to help build trust, and that's going to allow the growth of automation. Right? You're going to need to tell what you're interested in. The next point that it's also really important is we have to burst the experience bubble, right? We must design trying to burst the bubble and giving back the sensation of discovery. Um, this is this term, experience bubble, is based on a term by Eli Pariser. He's the co-founder of Upworthy and Avast.org, you know, and he also wrote a best-selling book that is called The Filter Bubble. So in this book, in this book is from 2011. He's describing how personalized the web is and how that's changing how people read and how people think. Right? Because we are always reinforcing behaviors instead of showing new behaviors or new content. We are always showing what we know that you like. And this same risk applies when devices around us anticipate our needs and act on them. Right? A bubble where you get stuck in a loop of feedbacks, actions, and activities. So we know that algorithms are binary and they are incapable of understanding the meaning behind actions. And I will give an example. We have meaning behind a lot of our actions. I've lost my grandma last week, and then I bought a lot of fried donuts, just like the one that she used to make, because I had I was missing her, and I wanted to feel good about the way that she cooks, and I wanted to remember her. That's why I bought those things. But now I'm seeing a suggestion inside my food apps ordering to order that more, because the algorithms don't know the meaning behind my actions. It doesn't mean that I like to eat that every day. It's been a long time since I don't, since I have eaten before, but I wanted that specific day for that reason, right? And the interfaces doesn't know that, and they are going to keep suggesting that to me, right? Another example is the other day I had to buy a present for a friend of mine that is having a kid, and then I started to look online, and now I'm receiving a lot of ads about baby stuff. I don't have a kid. I'm not going to have one anytime soon. So the reasons, the meaning behind what we do, the algorithms don't know yet. So to avoid this scenario of custom looping feedback, it's advisable for us to keep a sense of discovery and the ability in the servers to incorporate a human error, right, into the experiences. We need to incorporate error and mistakes, because that's how we learn and how we expand. Another problem that we need to solve with automation is how can we create hierarchy for multi-users, right? Back when we were still in the office, I was the one who always liked the air conditioner to be, the AC to always be cold. And next to me was sitting someone that didn't like cold at all, would prefer to be turned off, right? How can we automate a decision on the air temperature based on two different people who want two different things? So how can we create a hierarchy for multi-users, right? This is a point for us to think. Should we find the middle term of the temperature? And that's not going to please any of them. Or should it please just one? How can how should you solve for this problem? The other thing is the context is the key for the minimal anticipation. So we also need to create, smart tech in the and I think that's a key actor in creating, the understanding that I was mentioning when I talk about the story about my grandmother. And I think that's a really big pain point for developing predictive experiences is understanding the context behind your actions. Right? That's the only way that we can provide meaningful anticipations is understanding the context and not thinking that every action, has the same meaning. You need to understand the meaning behind. And another point is personality. That's going to make the user experience more human. That's why I started this presentation with a picture from the movie Her, right? Because if you look at assistants like Siri, Google Homes, Alexa's, we are missing the personality like we have in that movie, Her. Of course, that's a metaphor for the future, but it's a really important metaphor for products. Because in the future, the amount of gigabytes that is in a device is not going to be part of a crucial choice that you're going to make anymore. You're going to pick a device based on the personality almost, or your relationship with the brand, right? And this is what we want to build: is the personality and the relationship of the brand and the assistant. And something like we see on the movie Her, you can see that he bought that assistant based on the personality and helped the personality to interact with him. So I think this is how we can portray a better future: is focus it on the personality or of the interaction with the brands. I think that's it. We are almost out of time. We have 10 minutes. Thank you, everyone. Those are my contact links.